is live in Indianapolis. It moved over to the Senate today. We were very successful in the House last week, John. Turning Point's rally on Friday, you having the John Fredericks MAGA bus there helped. How we doing in the Senate, sir?
Well, today's a big day, Steve. We're here at the state capitol. Thank you for having me. We're about 30 minutes away from the final vote on the committee. There's been hours of testimony. A few hours ago, this rotunda was absolutely packed, mainly about 300 anti-districting protesters, some I interviewed, all of them coming from an organization, whether it be Planned Parenthood or something else. That is kind of thinned out now as the testimony gets done. Let me just bottom line this thing has got to get out of committee within the next hour. There are 9 committee members. We need 5 votes. There are 4 hard no's, 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans who are voting no. They're with Roderick Bray. So we need the other 5. We think we've got 3 of them solid. 2 of them we expect to vote in favor of getting this out of committee. This should be about 6 o'clock Eastern time. Once it gets out of committee, then we start going through the 3 readings. We're going to get this vote to the floor, and then we're looking at Thursday night or Friday, where there's going to be a vote of the full Senate. We need 26 votes. Right now, I'm told, as of right now, this moment, we have 23 solid votes. We're down 3. We're working them hard. Mike Braun, governor, just made a statement. He was pretty confident that he would get this over the finish line, but it's going to be a lot of work between now and then to get to 26. You hear some of the protesters screaming behind me. You know, there's a lot of people here that are very upset, obviously, but we need these 3 votes. Here's one thing that's concerning. One of the senators, Rick Nehmeyer, who I talked to last night, should be with us. He's Southern Indiana. He's 50-50. His cousin is running for Congress. But here's what's disturbing. He got a personal call last night, Sunday night, from Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and he didn't commit to Mike Johnson. So this is not a good sign. I think we can still get there. But when you're a state senator, you get the Speaker of the House calling you up, and you can't commit to him on the phone on a Sunday night, you know, that is not the best. Let me get out of the glare. That is not the best sign we're going to have. Now, what MAGA is saying is they're going to primary all of these people that vote no. This is not Turning Point. This is MAGA Inc. They got $1 billion plus. They're going to primary. Also, they're telling me that money that's going to Indiana in SMPs, which are the nuclear reactors, USDA hubs, all of this, the White House is saying, we're cutting you off. You're not getting a dime. So that message is getting out. The stakes here in Indiana are tremendously high, not only for the redistricting, but very high for getting money from the White House. These guys are playing hardball, Steve. They're not going to take no for an answer. And so any of these people vote no, and this thing goes down on Friday, the primary is going to start immediately. They're shipping Chris LaCivita here. They're going to spend over 7 figures apiece, and they're going to cut the state off from the funding you're getting in some of these goodie bag things that they're allocating for Indiana, Steve.
Talk to me about the footage you sent me earlier about what happened today for their rally. Of course, Turning Point's always quite positive. The people today, that got a little ugly, didn't it? The rally they had of the opposition.
It was very ugly. Look, they had about 300 people here. They got here early, and they were screaming and shouting as they went through the testimony on TV. Obviously, you can't get that number of people in the chamber, but they were all out here in the rotunda. I interviewed a couple of them. I mean, they're just mad, but none of them. This is the thing. Nobody I talked to just got up and decided to come here. This was all organized by either Planned Parenthood or some other left-wing organization, right? That's why they all got here. And so, but then look, they came out. There were about 300 of them. I mean, I found a handful of supporters of redistricting here that came on their own. Some of them camped out in the lieutenant governor's office. That's Micah Beckwith. He's with us. But it was probably, 350 to 10 as far as against and for. But it was getting really, really, really nasty here. Look, they want to stop this. All the signs are all about Trump, fascist, one-party system, all the things they're doing. It was interesting because I asked one of the ladies the question who had said, this isn't the Indiana way, and the Republicans shouldn't do this. And I'm like, well, are you a Democrat? She said, she is. I said, well, what about California and Virginia and all these states that don't have a single Republican representative? How does that square reconcile with what you're saying? And of course, you get the same answer you always do. Hey, we can't control them. We can only control Indiana. But the anxiety I felt from the leftists that we have, basically the people that are here are Marxists, Steve. That's the bottom line. They want a communist takeover of the country. They're out in force. That's what they want. Indiana's right now on the front lines to stop that.
Let me ask you, the optics here are very important because, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying the committee is 9 people. There's already 4 hard no's. That means we have to sweep the rest of them. Anyone would be looking for anything to hide behind. Of the testimony today, in Texas, we went through 3 days and there was not one Republican or not one group that stood up and did a positive. There was 3 days of negative. Today in front of the Senate, were there any people there pitching for this is the fair thing to do, or was all these Marxist groups, organized groups there just to intimidate senators?
That's a great question. And unlike Texas, I was not there for the whole time. I was there for about this thing went out for about 4 or 5 hours. When I was there, it was 50-50. So they did a good job in getting somebody for and somebody in opposition to it. And a lot of the, speeches were maxed at 2 minutes. 2 minutes came, you were cut off. So, the ones that were opposed to it, obviously they get big cheers here because it's on TV. Those that were for it, you get basically a boo or a hiss or whatever. But it was about 50-50. So they did a good job in that.
John, you've been in some pretty tough gunfights over the last 10 or 12 years doing this, in particularly taking the bus around. Explain to the audience how nasty and how tough these redistricting fights are, sir.
This is probably the nastiest thing that I've been involved in. And, I started this thing in 2015 with President Trump in Iowa, okay? And I saw Ted Cruz and Jeff Rowe steal the caucus by making up lies about Ben Carson, right? Just said he was out of the race. He didn't have enough people at the caucuses. He went home to get a suit, and they said he was out of the race and beat him. So I've been through a lot of nasty stuff on both sides. This is a nasty fight, Steve. And I tell you what, it is not for the squeamish. It is not for the faint of heart. If you're in this fight, you're going to be in it to the end. And for these state senators, the stakes are going to be high. And if you bail on us, there are going to be repercussions. You might as well find a new line of work because you're not going to remain a state senator. I can guarantee you that. And it's also going to cost Indiana hundreds of millions of dollars. The White House decides where to put these things, like a USD hub. That's their decision. Right now, it's going to Indiana. They lose this vote, that's gone. These senators are gone. But the opposition here is dug in because they see the stakes. They know that if we start winning these redistricting fights, we got a fighting chance to keep the House. As bad as things appear now, and their power slips away. Indiana is more than 2 votes. It's like, well, why are you doing all this for 2 votes? No, it isn't 2 votes. It's 20 votes. Because if we win this, it's going to give the backbone to other Republican state houses to do the same thing, redistrict, and get us like New England, who's got 6 states without a single Republican representative, including Hawaii and others. So we need to do the same thing. You can't go to a bazooka. They have bazookas. We want to go in with a pop gun, and we're getting slaughtered. That's really what the difference is. That's why we're all here. If we can take the fight to them here and win this fight, you got to remember, when we got here on Tuesday, this thing had about a 10-15% chance of passing. It didn't have a shot. It already got beat until Mike Braun brought it back. And they told me when I got here, this is a long shot bid. Well, we're all long shot bids, Steve. Freedom is a long shot bid. When Trump went down the escalator, he was at 3%. That's a long shot bid. So you got to lace them up, lace them tight, dig in, action, action, action.
Okay, we got to sweep the 5 folks right now on the Senate. We got 4 hard no's, a 9-man committee. Got to come out of committee today. We got to get all 5 votes. That'll happen sometime around 6 o'clock. Before I lose you, we'll follow the logistics here. Before I lose you, our beloved Commonwealth of Virginia, I understand you had some state convention or state gathering this weekend, and what people tell me, there wasn't a lot of intense focus on this April redistricting. The people in the Commonwealth right now understand that when you talk about momentum, because you're a degenerate gambler in football, you know it's a momentum game. That when you talk about momentum, the momentum we would get here in Indiana and other places with victories would be washed out by a blowout loss in Virginia in April, where they would go 6-5 to 10-1. Sir, any update on that?
Oh, they're going to get blown out. They have no plan. There's no party. They got a beeper and a couple people. And I think maybe somebody got a cell phone. There's absolutely no infrastructure there. The only way to beat this referendum, if it actually goes to a referendum, because the Supreme Court of Virginia may put a stall on it. That's unlikely. It's going to go to referendum. I said this the other day. They have a ridiculous strategy. They want to beat it with good governance. Get Democrats together, get George Allen, get the old guard, go on, try to tell people about good governance. Okay, that is going to fail. You want to beat this thing, you want to get the Trump voters out, you got to go up and down I-81. You can't stop. That's what you got to do. You got to put millions of dollars behind it in order to stop this. Otherwise, you're going to get beat 2-1, just like they did with their good governance plan in California. How'd that work out, Steve? It's a joke.
Sure. McCarthy and Schwarzenegger didn't invite. They kept Trump out, lost by 30 points, a blowout, and launched Gavin Newsom's presidential campaign. This is why someone in the Commonwealth has got to get focused. You're only going to win this by getting Trump involved and getting Trump voters out. Am I off base on that, John?
No, you're 100% right. But that too is going to be a long shot, because if they put it on a referendum, look, we couldn't get Trump voters out this past election for Jason Miyares to, beat a guy that wanted to assassinate the speaker, his wife and children. They just didn't want to come out. They were uninspired. Now you could try to get them out for a referendum. They don't even know what it is. Here's the other problem. If the Democrats put this on the ballot, they're going to tie to it gay marriage, same-sex marriage. They're going to tie to it codifying abortion up to birth. They're going to codify that. They're going to get things in this referendum to inspire their base and get them out. And this thing is going to be very tough to beat without a strategy that is hardball. I mean, they want to play softball. It's like they want to tee the ball up, and then when it's on the tee, they want to bunt. I mean, you got to swing for a home run. It's incredible.
Let's lay down a bunt. John, social media, where we get the bus, where we find out the results of this vote this afternoon, where do people go?
I'm going to put it right up. Go to @JF Radio Show. I'm on Instagram, TikTok. Everything is there, @JF Radio Show. And you can follow me 6 to 10 a.m. Monday to Friday at JF Radio Show on all social media, all our radio stations. Download our app, and you're good to go. But I'll put something out right after this vote tonight, and then it's on to Friday.
John Fredericks, thank you very much. Reporting live from the state capital, Indiana, in Indianapolis. Great, the Hoosiers, #1 seed in the college football poll. The folks in South Bend not even invited. Pretty shocking.